So the first thing I'm going to cover today is an update that actually launched in January of 2021, which for me feels like eons ago, but it was actually only this year. And that first change is email alerts. So if you're not already familiar, we have saved reports built into our system, which allow you to save your work, create templates, share templates with your team members, and you can actually build a template, and then if anyone has an Emsi talent or any of the system login, you can actually share that report with the members of your team and they will have access to that. So within the saved reports, one of the elements that we actually built out was email alerts. Email alerts was actually created chiefly for our staffing clients who on a daily basis or maybe a weekly basis want to stay up to date with what's happening in their market, given a set of parameters that they're interested in seeing. And what happens with email alerts is that you can actually set it up to be emailed to you on a cadence of your choosing. So I'm going to walk you through what that process looks like. It's really simple. This does work for many of our reports. However, we've only built out the data element in job postings information. What I mean by that is that you can do this with any report and it will send you a link to your email that you can click on and it will log you into the system, bring you to the report of interest. But if you use a job postings report, it will also preview some of the data in that email alert. So it's a great way to digest things on a really quick basis. And it's a great way to set a reminder for yourself just to log in and check the job postings because they do change on such a frequent cadence in this past year. This is actually coming off of a 2020 legacy. 2020, we spent a lot of time focusing on updating our job postings because job postings emerged as one of the best ways to stay on top of the market in a very real-time basis. Many of us were really rapidly seeking a way to keep a pulse on what was happening in our economy as things really flipped on their head. And so this comes off of kind of that job postings emphasis, which I think has continued throughout 2021 as just major trends, major shifts and changes can be actually analyzed via job postings activity. So again, let me show you how to set this up. Super simple, you just create your report. Maybe you're based in Detroit and you want to know what's happening on a regular basis. You can also add titles, occupations, really any of the search parameters that you're probably familiar with. Once you've created this report, you can choose to save it, give it a name, share it with your team. So let's say job postings. You can share that with your team. You can also add it to a folder. So this is also a new update within our saved reports where you can actually create folders of saved reports. This allows you to organize them really neatly, especially if you utilize saved reports pretty heavily. And then here's where we can actually set up your email alert. So in this, you choose your cadence, daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, however often you want this to be delivered to your inbox. You add in your recipients. Note that this does need to be an Emsi Burning Glass user. That's the emails that can be added in here. And then you'll receive that in your inbox on the cadence of your choosing. So pretty simple. At any point, again, if you have questions, feel free to throw those into the chat. I'd also love to hear if you have used this and you've benefited from it. Some examples would be awesome if anyone has those to share. The next update that I'm going to cover is wage trends. So advertised wage is a statistic or a data point that we actually incorporated into the tool to, again, help us analyze on a more real-time basis what's happening with wage. Wages are one of those things that are kind of rapidly changing. I think many of us are firsthand familiar with that this year. And our compensation data in the tool is primarily rooted in government observations. Now, government observations give us a very fantastic, accurate base from which to understand compensation. but it does tend to be a little bit of a slow moving beast, as government data tends to be. So advertised wage is actually information that we're pulling right off of our postings. So you think about an employer lists a job and they also list expected wage. That's the information that we're pulling from our job postings database. Now, what I want to talk about here is actually what we call advertised wage trends. This launched in February of 2021, and it's a visualization that provides insights into wage inflation and the core challenges of finding talent in our current labor market. So let me show you a really fascinating example of this. There are a couple examples that I could point out, but what I want to focus on today is actually the concept of a forklift operator in Detroit. So here's my job postings report. I've actually already generated this. As you all saw, we have Detroit entered in, but I'm going to go ahead and make this more specific and add in a forklift operator. Another new feature that we'll kind of briefly touch on is the concept of being able to grab a group of job titles. This allows us to cast a wider net. So you could grab all job titles that have the word forklift in it. This helps you capture maybe different employers' language as you're looking for that. But for today's purpose, I'm just going to look at forklift operators. So in this, we have our advertised salary data. There are 649 advertised salary observation, which is actually 60% of the matching postings. This gives us a sample size, and a sample size is very valuable for understanding, again, how large of a data sampling we actually have. And in this case, it's a pretty high percentage. 60% of postings having an advertised salary is actually, again, what we'd consider to be fairly high. But here we have the advertised wage trend graph. This illustrates very nicely the changes in advertised wage in whatever time period you choose to analyze. If you use custom, this allows you to adjust the time frame using this control panel here on the left. We can give it our own time period down here, which allows us to grab any particular period of time, whether it's historical or whether it's current, and actually look at that. Or we can look at this graph from a 3-year range, a 1-year range, or a 6-month range. So in general, this is absolutely massive wage inflation. It's up 25.1% from November of 2018 to October of 2021. This is a huge jump. But even more interestingly, if we actually zoom in on, let's see here, July of 2020 to August of 2020, we see this massive spike right here. This is showing us that essentially the wage jumped from $14 an hour to $15 an hour. And we saw this in our data and we asked, why this might be happening. And what's really interesting is that 1 month later, Amazon actually announced that they were going to be hiring 2,000 workers for $15 an hour in the Detroit market. And so even before that announcement had occurred, we're actually able to see this massive jump in data kind of evidenced, and we knew about it before it was even happening. And so it's a great way to stay really on top of what's happening in the labor market. Okay. So that brings us to mid-year, and I'm just going to briefly kind of nod my head towards this, but we will touch on this more in a little bit. But mid-year, Emsi merged with Burning Glass, which is why we are today Emsi Burning Glass. We're a unified team and a unified company. That happened in the middle of 2021, and so as you can imagine, this is a fairly large undertaking for a company like ours. So we spent a lot of time mostly working on merging our personnel, 2 independent companies becoming 1 unified company. There's a lot of logistics that go into that. So that's kind of what we had going on mid-year. Of course, we continued our products, we continued our client support, we continued innovating at the same clip, but you can imagine that that did take a lot of our resources. Again, I'll speak a little bit more towards the merger in a moment, but I wanted to kind of highlight that because I'm moving on a timeline basis, and that was in the middle of the year. So that brings me to my next most major update, and that is SmartRec. we launched a completely new product in September of 2021. And SmartRec is a product that's for our staffing companies, and it's meant to help you find and sell recs. Of course, much of the labor market has changed, as you can imagine. That's what I've been kind of talking about this entire time. And we wanted to give our staffing clients a tool or a weapon to actually be able to go through this crazy labor market and find recs or find new clients that are actually going to be a great fit for you. And then also understand at the job level whether or not you'll actually be able to fill it effectively and how to advertise or how to sell to your potential clients that you can do that effectively. So we merged together the idea of finding new clients from our job postings data and all of the economics and labor market data that we're already familiar with. And we crafted this and really honed it down to build you a weapon to be able to do this effectively and easy. I'm not going to cover this tool in detail here. I actually just came to our homepage where you can learn a lot about it. There's resources here. If you didn't know that this product existed, I would encourage you to reach out to your account manager. We'd be more than happy to show you a demo, get you any information you might need, or you could just visit this website and explore on your own. But this was a massive undertaking by our team. We are thrilled to have this on the market and to see it already being used so sophisticatedly by our clients. And we hope that as we move into the 2022 year, this gives you the precision that you need to be successful, as again, things have just flipped on their head. And in today's tight labor market, I think it's becoming increasingly evident that we need to act with precision and efficiency. And there's really no room for mistakes or for anecdotes or for guessing, which many of you are already familiar with as you are here as our clients. So, continuing on into our new reports that have also launched in Talent Analyst in October of 2021. And we're really excited about this because I think this was a kind of something that a lot of clients had been wanting for a while, and that is industry data. Industry data was incorporated in our tool in these new reports here. So you'll notice the industry snapshot, the industry table, map industries, industry staffing patterns. Just a level set for those who are maybe a little bit more unfamiliar. Lots of the data in Talent Analyst or in Recruit or in staffing, no matter which product you use, is focused on occupation or job specific information. Industry data was kind of hinted at in the tool, but industry data is more on the scope of what a company is. So I always like to make sure that the difference between an industry and an occupation is really clear so you know exactly what you're looking at. And I think a really great example to explain it is actually talking about Emsi and Burning Glass. Here at Emsi and Burning Glass, we sit within an industry, tech, software, however you want to classify our industry, that's what our company does. We provide software solutions on the labor market for clients in the education sector, in the community sector, globally, and of course in the enterprise and staffing sector. However, we employ janitors, we have financial managers, we have accountants, we have CFOs, we have sales reps, we have account managers like myself, we have marketing managers. Those are the different occupations that Emsi and Burning Glass employs, but we sit within one industry. So if you are looking to do research on an industry, know that you're going to be getting information on many, many different jobs that all sit within those companies, but it's still going to give you a picture of one industry. Alternatively, if you're looking for information on the people, that's why we do really prioritize occupation-specific data. So let me show you what this report looks like. I'll give you just a preview here of the industry snapshot. The best thing is that it's super easy to use. You simply identify the industry that you want to look into, let's say manufacturing. You can also browse industries, and I'll note that industries are grouped similarly to occupations if you're familiar with this grouping system. In that, you have the high-level 2-digit industries. You could think of these as like the macro categories. And then as you move into higher and higher numbers, these industries get more and more specific. The 6-digit level is going to be the most particular, the most broken out version of those industries. So if we look at manufacturing, there's all kinds of specific manufacturing industries that you can look at to allow you to, again, get as specific or as broad as you want. So I'm going to look at manufacturing in Detroit. We'll just stay consistent with our theme here. In manufacturing in Detroit, this is going to give you a snapshot of this industry. So we have a quick overview here, an executive summary of embedded talent, earnings per job, job postings for this industry, regional trends, retirement, risk and diversity data, unemployment rate trends, demographic details, which you can actually tab through here, which occupations are employed by this industry. So 58% of the manufacturing industry in Detroit is made up of production occupations. So this is a great example of how one industry can contain multiple jobs. These are the occupations that this industry employs. And then, of course, a snapshot of demand data at an industry level. So lots of helpful information, I think, in this report. I would encourage you to explore this yourself. There are other reports, industry-specific reports I won't cover today, but I want to make sure that that was pointed out and really clear that we do have this in the system now. And if you have questions, feel free to throw them in the chat. But of course, reach out to your account manager. That's what we're here for. We're here to build those one-on-one support relationships with you all so that you have projects. We're going to walk you through them. If you have questions, we can walk you through those. And if you'd like to see some of the new reports in more detail, I'm sure your account managers would be happy to do that. Okay, in October of 2021, we also released a report that's called Hot and Cold Skills. Hot and cold skills by job postings can be found here. And this is a report that measures the trends in skill sets in job postings. So I think that as a workforce and as kind of an economy, we are becoming more and more oriented towards using skills as the currency of the labor market. That's something that Emsi and Burning Glass, we've said for a while, is that job titles and specific company taxonomies, those are oftentimes very unique to a role. And particularly, those are unique to a company. My title here at Emsi Burning Glass might not translate very well to a title at a different company. And what I do here is actually really just a makeup of the skill sets that I bring to the table and the skills that are employed by me, or if it's a different job, by my colleagues on a day-to-day basis. So this graph and this report allows you to analyze hot and cold skills by job postings and actually look at which skills are emerging and trending up and trending down in the job postings data. So we can be specific, we can be broad. The setup is very familiar if you've used any of our job postings reports. And we can add in an occupation. So let's look at software development. And this is going to show you the hot and cold skills by these job postings. We can also adjust our time period on the bottom left-hand corner of the control panel. I always like to point this out because this is actually a really crucial part of making sure you're looking at the relevant data that you want to be. And here we have our hot and cold skills by those job postings. So the postings at the start of time with this skill set are represented in this blue color. Postings at the end of this time period are represented in the green or the red color. Red indicates that there was a decrease and green indicates that there was an increase. So you can see that software engineering is our top growing skill based off of the fact that there is a high number of that skill at the end of our time frame. Similarly, communications has jumped up by quite a lot. You can actually hover over it to see those specific numbers. The change count is 75,000. Agile methodology, the change is 81,000. So you can really start to acknowledge skill sets that have emerged very quickly, and then those that are maybe downtrending. Things like cloud engineering is down by 2,400 from the beginning of our time period to the end, which is a really interesting way, again, of staying on top of what your competitors are doing and what's going on in the labor market. We also have a graph of skill volatility. This is essentially a Sankey diagram of emerging skill sets. And we have a pretty consistent level set software engineering as a skill across the top. And if you look closely, it looks like most of our top 4 skills have remained top 4 skills, except for agile methodology, which has jumped up in this most recent quarter. So it's just a little bit more of a granular evaluation. It's not based off of the time period that you enter into this report. This is based off of just the last few quarters. Okay. So the final update that I'm going to cover is a release that we actually just published this week, and that is a new company name taxonomy. We've updated the way we catalog and name the companies in our database to be more accurate, more granular, and more easy to use. What we mean by this is that, again, in many of the job postings reports and in our profile analytics report as well, you oftentimes are doing company or competitor specific research. We've updated our library of company titles to help you more accurately find the company that you're looking for. We've also adopted what we call, or what's called, a trade style company naming, meaning that we're going to go and help you find companies not only by their official title, but also by their colloquial title. So a great example of this, let's just jump in here and use the company talent profile as an example. You can grab a company, and previously Walmart was Wal-Mart Incorporated. It's their official incorporated title. But now we're allowing you to just search Walmart to use more of that colloquial trade style name to find your companies when you're doing any sort of competitor or profile research. So again, this update actually just hit the system this past Monday. We're really excited about it. We hope that it makes it easier for you to navigate the tool, makes it easier for you to do research on your competitors or understand your clients. And that's an update that's been present. There, of course, as always, are minor details that are always changing in the back end of our data structures. Really not a week goes by where there's not something that's improved and updated. They're maybe just not as obvious and as glaring. If you do often work within that particular data set, you might notice those differences. And again, that's what your account managers are here for. We're here to walk you through changes. We're here to keep you updated on what's of interest to you. What I've covered today are kind of like the billboard updates for throughout the course of this past year. And we hope that they've been helpful for all of you in your work within the Emsi software. Okay, I have a few other things to touch on, but I'm going to take a second to actually check in on questions here before we switch topics. I want to make sure everyone's questions are answered. Okay, great question. What product is the industry data available in? That is chiefly talent analyst that the industry data is available in. This is also, I think, a good reminder that we value feedback from our clients so much. And many of the improvements and updates that we make in our tool are based off of questions that we've got, projects that we hear about from our clients. And so if you work with me, you've probably heard me say this before, that we always encourage feedback. Your account managers are there to be a sounding board for what you're working on. And that helps us take that feedback and take that real world experience and actually make sure that we're developing and modeling our tools in ways that's most helpful for our clients. So again, always reach out to us, keep us posted on what you're working on, send us your questions, send us your issues. We're here to listen to those because those are extremely valuable for us. Okay, doesn't look like there are any other questions right now, so I'm going to keep going. But of course, as you've heard me say a few times already, feel free to send us those questions. So the next thing that I'm going to touch on is just a really quick update on what might be coming in 2022/the end of 2021. We're really excited to be releasing an ability to skill parse job postings. So you've already seen us make an effort to incorporate more skills data by our job postings in the hot and cold skills report. But now we're going to be able to skill parse job postings. This will help you easily optimize job posting text by understanding the key, common, and uncommon skills associated with that occupation within that posting. So stay tuned for that. We're really excited to be releasing that towards the end of the year, and there's much more to come in Q1 of 2022. With the Burning Glass merger, we're now in the process of sort of analyzing and identifying all of the data points and all of the different data systems that have gone into making both of our companies and products work successfully. And we're going to be taking the best of really all of those, combining not only our products, but also the minds that built those products, and releasing, probably on a slow trickle in 2022, some of those updates. The first of which will likely be job postings data. We will be incorporating new job postings data into the previous Emsi taxonomy, so stay tuned for that update, and feel free to reach out if you have any particular questions about that. The final thing that I want to note is the blog. If you're not already paying attention to the blog, I would encourage you to do so, because this is actually where a lot of sort of the digestion of the data by our team happens. Of course, we provide these software options for you all, and that allows you to really put on a data science hat, do your research, and actually bring that research to your organization. But we have a lot of experts here. We have economists, we have researchers who are actually digesting the data and giving you kind of more of an understanding of that. And the blog is super helpful for staying on top of what's going on in the market. For instance, we just released the September JOLTS study. This is an analysis by our team of the JOLTS report that is actually published by the government. Super helpful for understanding what's going on in the labor market. And there are other really helpful things like veterans data, 5 ways to build a global talent acquisition strategy. So I would really encourage you to check this out if you haven't already. You can also follow us on LinkedIn. That's a great way to stay in touch with what's going on. I know that's how I know what's going on here. And it's helpful for me to know what to talk to my clients about, know what's of interest, know what's happening in today's economy. And this will also help you stay abreast of what's going on in terms of the new improvements in our software and the updates with the merger. So that's all I had for today. It was, again, a 30,000-foot flyby overview of all the changes this past year. I know we've been really busy, and we're looking forward to the holidays to maybe rest, and we hope that you all get to do the same as we prepare for 2022 and an exciting year together again. This is going to be the last monthly training. There won't be one in December. So in that regard, we really welcome feedback on not only, of course, our products, as I've mentioned, but also on these events. We want to hear from you what you'd like to see covered, whether it's a specific software training, whether it's a use case you want to see. We're happy to bring in experts and really show you what we know and hopefully help you master the tool better. So on that note, I'll stay on the line here just to make sure there are no questions. If you have anything you want to know about 2021 or 2022, we can make sure to cover that. But again, that's everything I had planned today. So thank you so much for joining us this whole past year. And we look forward to working with you in the next quarter.